Welcome to this module in CCPM, wherein we'll discuss about the basics of theory of constraints. Because understanding the basics of theory of constraints would help you a lot in understanding the CCPM methodology to appreciate its techniques and the tools that are involved. Okay, this concept was propagated by Dr. Eliyahu Goldratt, and it is based on common sense and counterintuitive thinking that reveals the simplicity in a seemingly complex environment. It is a general management philosophy that helps a business strategize their functions to improve performance. The core idea of TOC is that an organization is constrained by one or only few constraints that could stop its growth. It is analogous to a chain which is as strong as its weakest link. From business perspective, an organization can have several issues, and most of these issues are connected in such a way that only few issues are really causing all other undesirable effects. To get more clarity, let us understand that TOC or theory of constraints lies on the premises of cause and effect principle, wherein only few core issues could cause the system to malfunction. Though it seems simple, identifying the core issue that is embedded deep down the system is a definite task that requires a thorough understanding of how cause and effect works. Our focus in this module is to identify this constraint and work with it in a step-by-step fashion such that the system delivers what it is designed to effectively. In a continuous improvement journey using TOC, the first step is to identify the constraint. The constraint could be anything in the system. It could be a mission, it could be a production policy, it could be the market. For that matter, it could be anything in and out of the system that affects system performance. Let us understand this situation with a simple trekking team. There are 5 members in the team, and suppose that they need to reach the hilltop as a team within 2 p.m. the late noon. Else they will not get to eat lunch for the day. Note that everyone can have lunch only and if only when they reach the hilltop as a team, not just the individuals. Now, which of the members in the team would determine the speed of the team? As you might have guessed it right, Joe is the slowest of all, and he will affect the speed of the team because he is the fattest in the team. So we assume that this fat person cannot move faster. Hence, Joe is the constraint in the team who is going to affect the availability of lunch to the team. What will happen if, except for Joe, everyone else walk at their own speed to reach the hilltop? The distance between other team members and Joe keeps on increasing. At one moment, this single team would seem to be operating as though 2 different teams. With time, except for Joe, everyone else will reach the hilltop. Assume that everyone reaches the hilltop, ignoring Joe. Though individual performance of these 4 members is really good, they can't have lunch yet, since they need to wait for Joe. Actually, what had happened by ignoring Joe is that they have expended more energy to reach the top yet not have lunch just because they didn't attain the overall objective. Such a scenario can be compared to a business system that focuses on individual performance over organization objective. When the objective of the organization is forgotten, you will end up with excellent individual performance with lack of growth in the organization. Fine, how to handle this situation? First and foremost, acknowledge that there is a slow mover in the system, and the speed or lack of it of the slow mover determines the overall success of the team or the organization for that matter. So the focus should be on the slow mover and others should expend energy as per the slow mover speed. This takes us to the second step in focusing process. Since the performance of Joe affects the performance of the entire team, the team should encourage Joe to walk faster or at least at his maximum speed. Since Joe is obese, he may become tired over a period of time and may fall down as well. So he needs to be taken care by providing energy nutrients, snacks from time to time. Even his luggage can be shared by others so that he feels a bit more freer to walk. This is the second step in focusing process, that is exploiting the constraint to give its best. Third step in focusing process is subordinating the non-constraints. That is, except for Joe, everyone else should slow down their movement since their swift movement is not going to help to reach the hilltop as a team. They can save their energy that can be utilized for other activities on the way. Rearrange the team in such a way that the slow mover is put in the front and everyone else follows him. This is primarily to ensure no one else other than Joe operate at their maximum capacity. Though other members can move faster, their speed should match that of Joe only. Let us say the time is already 1:30 p.m. in the noon, and with the current speed of Joe, the team cannot reach the hilltop by 2 p.m. to have lunch. Now the team doesn't have any other option than to push Joe to move faster, who is already moving at his maximum speed. Maybe only option left in this case is to spend money to hire a cart to take Joe faster to the top. Meanwhile, others could follow him by walk. This process of increasing the capacity of a constraint through investing is termed as elevating the constraint. Now the final step in focusing process requires the business not to be complacent with current performance. In this illustration, Joe should work on reducing his weight before the next trek, while others should take care not to put up the weight. Thus, the focusing process as per TOC consists of 5 key steps that includes identifying the constraints, exploiting the constraints, subordinating the non-constraints, elevating the constraints, and not being complacent. That is, we term it as do not let inertia creep in. Let us quickly apply the 5-step focusing process to understand it better in a simple business situation. Suppose that we need to manufacture cubicle boxes of certain size. The process involved in making this particular metal cube is as follows: getting the raw material, cutting the raw material as per the requirement, assembling the cut pieces to produce a cube, painting the cube as per the required color or required specifications. Consider the time taken to carry out each process as mentioned here. From the process timing, it is clear that assembly is the constraint because it requires more time to complete its job. Second step is to exploit the constraint. Since the organization cannot afford to lose constraints time, only the quality accepted cut sheet should move to the constraint. Because in this case, assembly is already the slow mover, and if you are going to feed assembly with the defective parts, we are even slowing down the speed of the system. Thus, it is imperative to have QC between cutting and assembly process. This is to ensure that the constraint will receive only the right materials. In the third step, ensure that the non-constraints such as cutting and painting doesn't work beyond constraints capacity. That is, under ideal condition, cutting process should process only 4 sheets per hour or 40 minutes per hour, and painting process should also process only 4 incomplete cubes. This way we expose the resource availability in cutting and painting process that could be utilized for manufacturing cubes of other different colors. Fourth step is to elevate the constraints. That is, investing in capacity enhancement. What if we need to get an output of 5 cubes per hour? It is not possible with the current setup since the assembly process restricts the output to 4 cubes per hour, that is 15 minutes per cube, even at its fullest possible capacity. Here we need to improve the performance of the constraint by adding more resources to it. It could be more people or more tools to bring down the time per unit to, let's say, 10 minutes per cube. Note that the investment in capacity enhancement happens only after the first 3 steps. That is, we delay investment in capacity to allow time for exploring more capacity through best practices alone. What if the customer requires 6 cubes per hour? In this case, the cutting process, it becomes the constraint and it would affect the output of the system. So, what we need to learn from here is we cannot be complacent the moment a constraint is taken care of. It is just that with change in internal or external system, a constraint can surface anywhere else to affect the output. Note, constraints cannot be eliminated, but it moves from one part of the system to another. So this is basically what theory of constraints is. So hope you had a good session. understanding theory of constraints and underlying focusing process. In the next module, we will discuss about applying this focusing process to a project environment to enhance project performance. Catch you there. Thank you.